What if money didn't exist? Imagine waking up tomorrow and the concept of money as we know it is completely gone. No more paper bills, no more credit cards, no more digital payments. The entire global economy, as we understand it, disappears overnight. What would the world look like? Would society crumble, or would we find a new way of living? It's a radical idea, but what if we could somehow imagine a world without money? Let's dive into this thought experiment and see how life might unfold in a world where money is no longer a factor. First of all, without money, the way we value things would change drastically. Today, everything we own, do, or produce is measured by its monetary value. From food to shelter to entertainment, we assign value to nearly everything based on how much it costs. But what happens when we strip that away? The immediate question that comes up is, how would we exchange goods and services? In a world without money, we might return to bartering, trading goods or services directly. Imagine walking into a bakery and offering a basket of fresh fruits in exchange for a loaf of bread, or providing tutoring in exchange for a hot meal. It would be a more direct form of trade, but also a lot more personal. Your ability to negotiate, your skills, and your value in a community would become much more important. But here's the catch. Without money, the scale of trade would be vastly different. Think about global trade. Right now, countries use money to exchange resources, from oil to electronics. Without it, we would need to find new ways to distribute goods and resources across vast distances. This might lead to a massive decentralization of trade. Local communities could become much more self-sufficient, growing and producing what they need. However, global production networks, like the ones that allow us to buy anything from anywhere, would likely crumble. The interconnected global economy would be replaced by smaller, more localized economies where communities rely on each other for survival and prosperity. The question is, would this lead to a more harmonious world, or would we fall into tribalism and competition for resources? On a personal level, the absence of money would change how we pursue our dreams. Right now, money often dictates what we can and can't do in life. You want to start a business? You need capital. You want to go to college? You need to pay tuition. But in a world without money, these barriers would be eliminated. Everyone could have access to education, healthcare, and opportunities without the pressure of financial obstacles. The playing field might be more level, but it would raise new questions about how we measure success. Without financial rewards, would people still be motivated to work hard, innovate, or strive for achievement? Would we do things purely out of passion or necessity, or would a new form of value emerge to replace money, something like time, effort, or reputation? The motivation to achieve could shift, as the desire for money, which drives much of our ambitions today, would no longer be a factor. But then, what happens to the people who already have power or influence in the world today? If money didn't exist, how would we measure and distribute power? Without wealth, would politicians and corporations hold the same influence, or would a new set of values replace the old ones? It's likely that society would place more emphasis on non-materialistic forms of influence. Leaders might be chosen based on their wisdom, their ability to organize and lead, or their ethical standing in the community. People with talents in areas like farming, education, or healthcare might become more valuable than billionaires, as these skills would directly impact society's survival and progress. Fame and influence might shift from being tied to financial success to being tied to knowledge, creativity, and the ability to bring people together for a common good. One of the most profound changes would be how we view wealth and poverty. Without money, the idea of being rich or poor would change entirely. What would it mean to be wealthy in a world where you can't buy things? Is wealth about resources, relationships, or respect? In a world without money, wealth could be defined by how much you can contribute to your community or society at large. Maybe the richest person in town wouldn't be the one with the biggest house or the nicest car, but the one who provides the most food or shelter to those in need. In a sense, people might measure each other's worth by their ability to help, collaborate, and give back. People who are poor might not have access to certain resources, but they would still have value in the sense of their relationships and contributions. Now, let's talk about the potential benefits of a world without money. For one, there would be no more poverty in the traditional sense. Without money, everyone would have access to basic needs like food, shelter, and healthcare, as they would all be shared within the community. The rich-poor divide would shrink, and there might be less social tension caused by income inequality. People wouldn't be competing to climb the corporate ladder or to own the most expensive things, and society could focus more on overall well-being and happiness rather than material success. Without the stress of financial instability, mental health might improve as people would no longer feel pressured to keep up or chase an ever-elusive financial goal. However, there's also a darker side to consider. If we no longer had money, would we lose our sense of purpose? For many, their job or career is more than just a way to earn money, it's part of their identity. Without financial incentives, some might struggle to find motivation to work or create. It could lead to a society where people are less driven, less entrepreneurial, and less ambitious. What would become of innovation and technological advancement? Would we still be motivated to invent and discover new things if there wasn't the promise of a paycheck or monetary reward? It's possible that without money, innovation might slow down, as the incentives that drive creativity and progress would disappear. Moreover, how would we handle scarcity? Would the scarcity of certain resources lead to conflict or competition? Money might seem like the villain today, but it was created to solve the problem of scarcity. Without it, would humanity be able to find an equally effective way of ensuring that resources are shared fairly? Ultimately, if money didn't exist, the world would be a very different place. We would have to rethink the way we measure value, success, and social status. It could lead to a more egalitarian world, or it could introduce new challenges and inequalities in different forms. We might rely more on bartering, sharing, and cooperation, but we'd also face questions about how to allocate resources and motivate people to contribute to society. The absence of money would push humanity to find new ways to connect, collaborate, and thrive, but it could also be a huge challenge for how we maintain balance, innovation, and progress. So, what do you think? How would the world work without money? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more what-if scenarios here at What If Factory. Until next time, keep wondering, keep imagining, and always ask, what if?